If you're anything like me, there may have been a time in your life where you considered prayer to be boring, when it feels more like a chore to perform rather than a blessing to enjoy. And maybe that's you right now, because honestly, I know it's been me. But I want to tell you that if you consider prayer to be boring, you may not be seeing prayer correctly. Welcome back, everyone. How are you doing? I know it could sound a little legalistic to say that there's a correct way to pray and an incorrect way to pray, but Jesus said it first, not me. And if Jesus says it, then it's not legalistic. It's holy. And we are to be holy like how he is holy. Now, holy doesn't mean simply just perfect, without flaw. It means set apart. And so if Jesus has a set apart way to connect with our Father, then I want to know it. This is the question the disciples had asked Jesus when they said, "Teach us to pray." Now, the first thing Jesus says about prayer is in Matthew 6:5. He actually starts with how not to pray. He begins with this in verse 5. He says, "And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray out, standing in the synagogues and on the street corners, to be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full." Now, the Greek word for hypocrite simply means actor. So the very first thing Jesus actually says about prayer is this: drop the act. Be real, be authentic, be honest. Jesus doesn't want an act. He wants you. Jesus goes on in verse 6, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret, he will reward you." I know it can often feel like God is a million miles away and there's some sort of disconnect with the creator of the universe, but here's an example of maybe how you can better see this passage. Oftentimes my wife and I will be watching our girls, our daughters, just playing, pretending, having a good time. But we'll often keep ourselves just out of sight, just hidden enough so they don't notice us. Because when they do notice us, they may put on a show or they may change what they're doing, feel like they're in trouble. But what my wife and I are really doing is we just want to see them for how they truly are. Because honestly, that's what true character is. It's who you are when no one is looking. So when God feels hidden, will you still seek him? Scripture says it's for the glory of God to conceal a matter, and it's the honor of kings to search it out. Verse 7 goes on, "And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they'll be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you even ask him." The Father knows what you need because he is close enough to see. He is not distant. Jesus died for a torn veil so that nothing in heaven or hell could separate us from that love of God. And God knows because he is near. And if your prayers feel lost or broken, there's a promise that he is close to the brokenhearted. Jesus then says, "This then is how you should pray." Now that word for pray is proshulamai, and proshulamai means to come forward, to petition, to be face to face with God. Face to face, breath to breath. This is Jesus' definition of prayer. It's not a distant list of needs and wants. It's intimacy with the lover of your soul. It's looking into his eyes and listening to his heart. You see, prayer is not homework for righteousness. It's a practice in time-consuming love. Because honestly, love takes time. And to love God, one of the greatest offerings that we can give him is our time. It's so precious to God because it's something we will never get back. But it's so much better invested in his hands than in ours. Finally, Jesus says, this is how you should pray. "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come, and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Now, our Father, where exactly? In heaven. And if we are proshulamai with God, meaning face to face, and he's in heaven, well, then where are we? Heaven. Maybe because heaven is simply more than a place we go when we die. Maybe it's truly the dwelling place of God. 1 Corinthians 3:16 through 17 says this, "Don't you know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in your midst? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is sacred, and you together are the temple." Beloved, you are that temple. You are the place His Spirit dwells. You are the definition of on earth as it is in heaven. We're made of nothing but the dirt of earth and the desire of God. We are soil and spirit. But you and I are the dream of God, the vision of Jesus, the carriers of His Spirit. Beloved, this is what it is to pray. I hope this video has blessed you. It has greatly blessed me, and I want to encourage you this week. Practice that time-consuming act of love that is prayer. Get alone and come face to face. And I promise you, you won't be bored when you behold the face of God. Until next time, I love you. Peace.